Instagram. Hello, everyone. Just give us 1 second and we're going to connect to Instagram. Okay. And then I think we should be able to broadcast on all the platforms, not just both the platforms, all the platforms. Awesome. Yeah. Very cool. Welcome, Wendy. So good to see you. And you're a fellow well, you're American. I'm not American, but I live in the United States, living in Mexico right now. And so it's always good to connect with you. And I know we have very much shared vision in a lot of things and how we live our lives. And Toxins is obviously, for those of you who don't know, Wendy is a big toxins expert. And we've had her here on our call before. And heavy metals is a big thing that she covers in her protocols. And so why don't we just start off with just tell us a little bit about like a bit of your background of like what led you to be doing the heavy metals toxicity and let's start off with that.
Yeah, well, before I get into that, I just want to let you guys know we're going to talk about heavy metals and how they impact hormones, which I know all you guys are concerned about, and how they interfere in like sex, stress, and thyroid hormones, and kind of one more thing that's like sabotaging those. And I also created a docuseries we're going to talk about also all about toxins, and also one of the episodes is how toxins interfere in hormones. So we'll get into all that. But my story is, like a lot of you guys, I'm on my own health journey. And at one point, I just didn't feel like myself. And I looked in the mirror, I just didn't recognize who this person was anymore. And I went to my doctor to figure out what's going on with me. I wasn't sleeping. I couldn't lose weight. I was having bouts of anger and depression and just not myself. And they found out I had the hormone levels of a menopausal woman at 37, which I was like, woohoo, I was happy to hear that. And then I had low thyroid hormones and I had low stress hormones. They were just all shot. And I didn't live a stressful life at all, and my full-time job was my health. I've been obsessed with my health my whole life, getting tons of sleep, eating super healthy, fresh food, organic, cooking it myself. And especially the couple years prior to discovering that I had all these hormone issues. And so the doctor wanted to do hormone replacement, which I certainly did with the thyroid hormones. But with the sex hormone replacement, I was just like, isn't that for menopausal women to do hormone replacement therapy? And I just couldn't reconcile it in my mind that the solution was hormone replacement therapy at 37. And I just thought, well, isn't the more logical question to ask, how do I restore my body's natural ability to produce hormones? Because I was always why, and that's why I have my website, myersdetox.com, asking a lot of why questions and getting answers for them. But I decided, no, I didn't want to do the testosterone creams and this for life. It just didn't make sense. So I just went on Dr. Google and I found that heavy metals interfere in your hormones. And I thought, wow, never really thought about that. And I did a test. I did a hair mineral analysis and found out I had all these heavy metals. And I was really shocked, and I was a little upset actually about it, because I thought, well, I take such good care of myself. Where did I get this stuff? And I read about, other instances like Flint, Michigan. This is before Flint, Michigan, but there's plenty of other instances like that. And I had heard about mercury toxicity, had my mercury fillings removed in my early 20s. And I just didn't think that all this metal toxicity articles that I read really applied to me, because I was so healthy,
Yeah.
And so just started me on this journey of detoxing, and I felt markedly better.
So can I ask you first, where were you? I mean, given that you already did quite a bit of things, first of all, you were aware of heavy metals, and number two, you did the mercury detox from your dental work. Like, where did you get those toxins from?
Well, my mercury fillings actually were just removed from a regular dentist. So I actually had become very mercury poisoned, and really had a lot of depression and digestive issues and things in my 20s. And I just thought it was my life circumstances, but no, it was the mercury poisoning. I just started learning about this stuff, learning about mercury and doing a detox.
Do you
But
cover mercury removal in your docuseries?
we don't cover mercury removal, so to speak. We're kind of more talking about how heavy metals cause a lot of our health epidemics, like
Okay.
hormone issues, fertility issues,
Okay.
obesity, diabetes.
So before we dive
Yeah.
into that, I just want to share like super quickly because I had the same issue, right? I
Mhm.
had very high mercury levels and I had 6 mercury fillings like from childhood. So it is really for those of you who are aware of that sort of stuff, and if it resonates, what Wendy's going to tell you how that heavy metal toxicity can present itself in the body, and everyone is very different.
Yeah.
In my case, it was a lot of brain fog and just fatigue that I couldn't explain. And so when I had a test, it was very high. So got into removal. And what's really important about the removal of your dental mercury, for those of you who have those old fillings from back in the day, is to find a biological dentist and interview them and scan them on how exactly they do it. And they should have an amino acid protocol prior, like 2-3 weeks prior to you doing the procedure. And then you go in there and there's like a full suction thing. The person is protected, you're fully protected. You're still gonna get stuff through, inevitably in your mouth is gonna get through, and you're gonna feel pretty lousy, but it's not gonna like shoot up your mercury levels. I've seen people like what you're describing. I've had people, in the past when I worked in private practice, people coming with worse mercury poisoning after having their removal done inappropriately, and so it just defeats the whole purpose of that. So just make sure that you interview your dentist. It's really, and that's the other thing. People greenwash. So people, like, there are dentists who call themselves biological, but when you call them up and say what's your protocol in getting it done, they're like, well, you just come in and we have the suction, and you're like, no, I need amino acid, you need to detox, you need to be like, you have to have all the pathways open, right? Like your liver needs to function well. If you can get and find a sauna, red light therapy, and making sure that you are like fully prepared to like flush that stuff out, really important. All right.
And taking binders. Oh, and I just
Yes.
just to mention, we do cover a little bit of how to remove mercury fillings properly in like the individual interviews that people have, not in the actual episodes, because we're kind of sticking to certain health topics, but people do cover that kind of that topic. In
Awesome.
we have 107 interviews that I did on this docuseries called Heavy.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah,
So lots to
107.
learn. So hey, you guys, for those of you who are joining a little bit later, and there is a big contingent on Instagram watching us live right now. We are talking about a docuseries that Wendy has just released, and that's going to be available. I'll drop the links here in just a second so you can see where you can register and watch it completely for free. So where do we start? Like, let's maybe, why don't we just set the stage first of discussing where toxins can play a role in women's hormones, since most women are here because of hormones. And then I want to just talk about some practical stuff without the one thing, Wendy, I don't want to do today, and this is just for message for everyone, is like, I don't want to be leaving you with like a whole bunch of fear and an overwhelm of like, because somebody's already posting here of like, yeah, sure, the toxins everywhere, right? You inhale them right now. It's like, hey, I'm wearing a bikini, that's made of plastic. Sure, it's gonna get into my boobs, right? I mean, we can start being obsessed about things like that, and it's not gonna be a productive healing journey. So I think one of the things I like about your work, Wendy, is that you're well researched, but you're also very practical about pragmatic and not obsessive about things. So I just want to leave today's call people feeling somewhat hopeful and informed and not overwhelmed and paralyzed with fear. So
Yeah, I
fear
agree with
mongering,
you.
fear
Yeah, I
mongering is
agree
the
with you.
last thing I would
No,
want to do.
I like, informing people and just making them aware of where we're getting this stuff in our environment and letting them know the scope of the issue so that they're empowered. And you do kind of need some motivation to detox. You need to, it takes some work and some time and things that people, they don't want to invest. So you do kind of need to know the reality of the situation and the toxins in the air, food, and water. But also, there's a lot of simple, practical things that you can do that you can incorporate into your health regimen. But also for me, when I realized that toxins were causing a lot of my symptoms, it was also really empowering. I was like, oh my God, I finally have answers. I'm finally not in the dark anymore, because I was not getting a lot of answers from my conventional or functional medical doctor
Yeah.
at the time, and it's so people really have to, that, like, for me, that's my mission, is to educate people about this, because you're not getting these answers at your doctor, that toxins
Yeah.
are causing your fatigue and brain fog and hormone issues and weight gain and so many other issues.
So let's talk about first, how do toxins impact our hormones?
Yeah. So, toxins impact our hormones in a number of ways. So they reduce the production of hormones, our sex, stress, and thyroid hormones. They interfere in the conversion of one form of hormone to another, and they poison the glands that are kind of the master conductor of our hormones as well, that tell us to make more or make less, or all that delicate feedback loop that our body needs to make the correct amount of hormones. And so specifically what heavy metals do in the body is they poison enzymes. So they poison the things that help to make our hormones and convert them from one form to another. And so that it can poison DHEA being made into testosterone, or that being converted into estrogens, and estrogen, just that whole feedback loop from T4 hormone being converted into T3 and things like that, the active form of our thyroid hormones, and just generally poison the whole system, so we just have less overall production. And there's heavy metals and chemicals that act like estrogens, like xenoestrogens. You've talked about this extensively, and kind of fill up all of our estrogen receptors on our cells, and fools our body into thinking we have estrogen when we don't. And that can ramp down production of estrogen, but leave us with estrogen dominant symptoms. And it's just very, very confusing. Everything surrounding that, and the symptoms and the estrogen testing, because you can look like you're okay, but you have estrogen dominant symptoms. And there's estrogenic chemicals everywhere around us. Mercury is a metalloestrogen. It acts like estrogens. There's, the plastics and the pesticides and the parabens and the phthalates in our beauty products that we're slathering on us every day. So there's so many different things that are kind of bathing us in estrogen-like chemicals. So it's not surprising that our hormones are a mess.
So let's start off with what are you covering in the docuseries that's interesting for people to know? I'm assuming like you focus on the big ticket items.
Yeah. So I produced a docuseries called Heavy. It's actually premiering tonight. It starts tonight, totally free. And there's a link that you guys can click below.
I'm just about to post it.
Yes, and I'm really proud of it. I've been working on it about a year and a half, and I interviewed 107 experts, and we talk about some main health issues that I wanted to cover, because I really wanted to illustrate to people how heavy metals and chemicals are contributing to our major health epidemics, like brain fog and dementia and things like that, and how heavy metals are contributing to and chemicals are contributing to our obesity epidemic and resistant weight loss, hormone issues, sex, stress, thyroid issues, rough menopause, rough PMS, reproductive issues, infertility. 1 in 6 couples, 1 in 5 couples have infertility issues, and also how toxins contribute to fatigue, mitochondrial dysfunction, how they contribute to diabetes. Some of our experts claim that the number one cause of diabetes are toxins, like arsenic, iron, and other toxins. And it's really, when you look at the scope of this, that in the research, Dr. Joe Pizzorno, who founded Bastyr University, said that 17% of fatalities are from lead. 17% of all cause mortality is from lead.
Wow.
And so, hormones aside, yes, there's toxins interfering that, but we're, going a little bit broader picture than that.
Yeah.
They're very problematic for many, many health issues. We didn't cover heart disease, but they play a big role in that, and heart disease and hypertension, hardening of the arteries. Probably should have covered that, but we covered digestive issues. 40% of people have digestive issues. So I really wanted to paint the picture how these toxins are interfering in our body, our metabolism, blood sugar control, hormones, and that there's a lot that you can do about it. We have 2 whole videos, about 4 hours of instruction on how to get this garbage out of your body and restore function again. So like I said, you can click the link below this video and start checking that out. It's totally free.
So speaking of, one of the things you mentioned is weight loss resistance, right? And there's this whole term on obesogens, toxins that cause obesity or weight loss resistance. Can you talk a little bit more about that? You call them, I think, fat magnets.
Yes, yeah. So there's a whole host of different toxins that contribute to resistant weight loss. If you have a muffin top you just can't get rid of, or you have 20 muffin tops, there's a reason. And our body stores toxins that it can't process, that it can't get to in our fat. A lot of chemicals, pesticides, are fat soluble chemicals, so they just store nice and neatly in our little muffin top. And it can be very frustrating for a lot of your clients, my patients, and people.
So is the mechanism that the body produces the fat so that it can store the toxins there? It's like the safe way, instead, so it doesn't damage organs. Is that the idea?
Yes, exactly. Because the body doesn't let this stuff float around, causing all kinds of damage. I mean, lead, cadmium, other toxins, chemicals, incredibly damaging. They cause a lot of kind of reactive oxygen species. Like they're oxidants. They're like rust in our body, damaging our cells, damaging our DNA, harming us, harming our brain. The body just doesn't let this stuff float around. It stores it away in our fat, our bones, our central nervous system, which is fat, our organs, glands, things like that. So the body needs this fat to hold on to this stuff. But if you take the right nutrients, if you take supplements that can grab onto this stuff and get rid of it, if you raise your energy levels, or you do things like infrared saunas, the body can start to kind of process this stuff out slowly but surely, and then you can lose weight a lot easier.
So let's talk about that. What are some of the solutions that you guys are covering in docuseries that can help people, give us hope that these things can be removed?
Yes, so we talk about a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of options out there, but I'll talk about some of the more practical things people do. Very simple, taking minerals. Super simple. You're doing it already, but usually you need to take the right form and the right amounts. So magnesium is number one. People usually need to take a lot more than what they're taking. So they need to take like 5 times their body weight per day in pounds. So if you're 200 pounds, you need 1,000 milligrams a day of magnesium. So I bet you're not taking that. Most people are taking like 250 if they're even bothering to take it.
And your multivitamin will contain like 50 milligrams at the best, if that.
Yeah, because they're bulky. Minerals are bulky, so that you just can't get it enough in a multivitamin. And usually you'll get not the best, most absorbable form. And then taking calcium, that helps to displace lead out of the bones. Great lead detox, among other things. Yes, and women in menopause, perimenopause, they need to, help with some calcium, bone building nutrients. And then zinc. A lot of us need zinc, and that's really helpful for detoxing cadmium and mercury as well. And so I can go down each mineral and tell you what it detoxes. Selenium helps detox mercury as well. Most people are deficient in that. You got to have it for your thyroid. And taking trace minerals, just drinking salt water. Every glass of water that I have, I put salt water. I put salt, and I put like Celtic sea salt. They're all rotate different things. But our body's made of salt, so we need to get as much as we can. I heavily salt my food, and I take a couple different trace mineral products like quinton and things like that. And it's just couldn't be more important and simple to do. These minerals push out and displace heavy metals.
That's so fascinating. Let us know what questions you guys have, and then we'll get to those. One of the questions I have for you is let's not forget about diagnostics. It's like you said, like some people have the knowing that something is off, and they want to, but I think most of us want to get tested, right? And kind of see, where it is, and then take maybe the next step after that. And it's like, figure out where does it all come from? Is it from my house? And then get the house tested and so on and so forth. But what will be like the first step if a person is suspecting something could be wrong, but I'm not sure if I have heavy metals, and how severe is it?
Yes. Yeah. And, you don't have to get tested to start detoxing. You don't have to get tested before you do infrared saunas or what have
Yeah.
you, go on a detox program. But it's really helpful and eye-opening to get a test. Like a hair mineral analysis is my favorite go-to. It's not expensive to do. It's non-invasive. It's painless. You can do it at home. And it's really, really informs you about what toxins that you have, and also a light a fire under you when you get kind of a reality check that you do have some of these metals. You're like, oh, okay, I need to do something about this. And so for me, I was really shocked that I had really high mercury levels because I was a sushi addict at the time, having sushi twice a week for a long time. I still love sushi, still have it, but I just take precautions. I eat chlorella when I take when I eat sushi, but I'm doing it like maybe once a month rather than twice a week. But I had really high arsenic levels, which prevents weight loss as well. And I had uranium, which causes blood sugar issues and diabetes. Got that in my shower water, even though I was drinking spring water that wasn't toxic. And I had cesium, which that is going to impact your thyroid and your energy levels in a huge way. And that's coming from nuclear testing and accidents. And there's been thousands of nuclear tests and accidents. We only know a handful of them, but there have been thousands. And there's websites you can go to that show you where all of them are, where all of them have been. So everyone that I test has cesium. So that's, in fact, a lot of people haven't heard of that. Japan is right now dumping cesium into the ocean every single day. So it's just a problem, big problem.
Yeah. Let's take a couple of questions. We have a bunch of questions coming in through Instagram. So your question about the salt is definitely stirring up some controversy here. So let's address that. Salt with every water. How come she doesn't become hypertensive? So let's talk about that.
There's very few people that when they take salt will become hypertensive. There's a very, very small percentage of people with genetic issues that should maybe ease up on the salt. And we have to distinguish between table salt, which is 80% sodium, and sea salt, which perfectly matches our biochemistry. And so regardless of your genetics, regardless if you're hypertensive, you still need sea salt. Otherwise, your body is not going to function very well. I think that someone that becomes hypertensive or high blood pressure, it's not from a overload of salt. It is because of heavy metals cause this and interfere in kidney and liver functioning. Lead and cadmium are big contributors to this. And 100 million people in the US have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. That's your blood filter. So there's many other factors that contribute to high blood pressure and being hypertensive. It's not an overload of salt. It's very simplistic kind of thinking. The rest of your body still needs salt, because salt is the spark plugs of your body. If you're salt deficient, you're going to have a lot of other problems. So you need to kind of like step back and think about other underlying root causes of the high blood pressure. Doing an infrared sauna 20 minutes a day will completely make your blood pressure issues disappear. That, for my mother, she's on no medication. She got off her high blood pressure medication just doing an infrared sauna 20 minutes a day.
Yeah, so and this is not people's fault, right? Because that's the whole, public health campaign that was created however number of years ago, scaring that living light side of people that salt is causing hypertension, right? And so people now, don't salt and eat just terrible food because there's no salt. So the conclusion is that you basically use sea salt. Himalayan salt is a completely different kind of salt. Think of it this way, right? Like, why is it that in native cuisines there's plenty of salt and no one is getting hypertension, right? And so as one way of, it's not table salt here she's talking about sea salt. All right.
Yes. Yeah, I think that advice from the medical community is the biggest thing that harms people's health. It is the biggest lie. It's misguided. They're talking about table salt, which is 80% sodium.
Yeah. All right. So then we have questions about what type of magnesium do you recommend?
Yeah. So I love magnesium glycinate.
Yeah.
Some people don't do well with glycinates genetically, so they can do magnesium malates.
Yeah.
But I like to rotate different kinds. I like taking Epsom salt baths, magnesium sulfates. I like, like I said, the magnesium malates. There's things like Bio-Optimizers, Magnesium Breakthrough that has 7 different kinds of magnesium. So just lots of different options there, and just good to rotate them. I also like this Mother Earth Minerals. It's magnesium, ionic magnesium. I do
Right.
that. That's frequency based as well. So I rotate a lot of different kinds of magnesium.
Yeah, our magnesium glycinate, magnesium replenish is our #1 selling product. So
Yeah,
not
right.
surprisingly, right? It's just people feel so good on that. So I agree with you. And if constipation is your thing, then using magnesium citrate for a while might be
Yeah.
helpful just to get your bowels to move again and then create a really good habit. We also released another form of magnesium called magnesium threonate, and that's a great one for your for your brain function. So during the day, it will perk you up, and then at night, it's going to calm down your thoughts. That's the only type of magnesium that crosses the brain barrier.
Yeah.
So we call it Brainy Mac. We have that in our store too. So if you guys want to check this out, for those of you who are coming a little bit late, we're talking about Wendy's docuseries, and so we really are just scratching the surface. If you're really interested in toxins, in our environment, our life, and what to do about it to rule them out and just to minimize exposure in a meaningful and practical way, check out the docuseries, the 7-part docuseries, completely free to watch. I posted the links in the comments, and I can do that again just to make it easier for you. And so, and I just want to say this, because I think it's I've watched enough documentaries before where you just left with a problem and it feels very disempowering. And I actually stopped watching a lot of those docuseries because then I'm just like, okay, so now what, right? And it just makes you feel so helpless. So this is really not the way we want to go. And that's what I love about your docuseries, that you're actually giving people solutions, and some of it we are already discussing here. And so is really about how do you minimize it, and then if you do have it, how do you take that out of your body, right? So another question we have is, let's see. So again, the blood pressure, and then there's questions about calcium. You're such a rabble, Wendy. It's just stirring up a lot of questions here. And
I know. I always cause a lot of problems with
right?
this stuff.
I heard that calcium was not good to take.
Yes, so we have
Comment
to
on
make
that?
some distinctions about what we're talking about, because a lot of the research on nutrition is very myopic, where it is using calcium carbonate. That's what most of the calcium research is using, which doesn't absorb. And they're also using it in isolation. Calcium in these research studies, calcium, you have to take vitamin D and vitamin K2, which is mecaquinone, and magnesium for calcium to deposit in the right places in your body. Or you can get the soft tissue calcifications where it's going where it's not supposed to. And so if we take calcium the right form, which I really like calcium lactate, and when you take it with the cofactors, it's going to build your bones into the things that we want it to do. So we have to make some distinctions there. There's a lot. Most of the calcium on the market is garbage. It's made from coral. It's made from forms that our body just doesn't absorb and metabolize. So it's not surprising that calcium has gotten such a bad rap. But we have Chris Kresser has a lot of amazing info on calcium and making some of the distinctions. Because if you have osteoporosis, you have osteopenia, you have to take calcium to build your bones back up. And there's other strategies beyond that, but that is one of them. And you just have to be aware of the quality of your supplements. I'm a supplement snob, and I've done a lot of research on this for many, many years since I was a teenager. And it's just about making those distinctions and not throwing the baby out with the
So are we
bathwater.
saying that the calcium has to come in with like other cofactors like the magnesium and boron, potentially like for bones, right? And
Yes.
manganese and then also portion of magnesium. I mean, typically a good calcium supplement will come in with magnesium in it as well, right? And then you guys, this month we are talking a lot about progesterone. So one of the things that I just released a video yesterday about talking about the progesterone's role in bone health too. So calcium key, but also progesterone, estrogen, sufficient levels of those will be critical for bone health. That's the reason why young girls don't have problems with bone osteoporosis. As we get older, we do, because our estrogen, progesterone is also tanking. So Agnieszka is asking a good question, which is, what about calcium-rich foods? Do you want to give it a
Yes.
go first?
Yes, yes. So I love calcium-rich foods. I love sardines with the bones. I love carrot juice. I love greens to give you calcium and magnesium. Any bitter foods, any bitter lettuces have calcium in them. That's what makes them kind of bitter, is that calcium. So there's lots of options there. But I think calcium is, or sardines are one thing. Those aren't going to be like vegetables. A lot of vegetables are deficient in minerals. Our food supply is deficient in minerals. So I'm not going to rely on, for any of my nutrients, on food alone.
Yeah.
I actually did a whole series on this, a docuseries about this. And every expert agreed, we can't get all of our nutrition from food. You want to get as much as you can, for sure. You want to get a healthy diet, eat the rainbow and all that. But you still, if you have a major deficiency, you're going to need to, if you osteoporosis or something like that, you're going to need to supplement. It's just the reality, unfortunately.
100%. And when I first started my practice, I think I was a little bit jaded because there were so many people walk into my office with like bags of supplements and spending, hundreds of dollars every month on supplements and not feeling any better. And so I was very resistant to using them myself and with my patients. And then obviously I wasn't manufacturing them back then, until I hit my own wall, and then I realized like I actually really need them. And so it's just if you look at just the depletion of mineral density of foods since 1945, like that's when, after the war, like once the even organic foods unfortunately are highly depleted, very different from what we used to have like in the 50s. All right, there's a question one more time. Just Denise is asking, what is the name of the test again, to tell what toxins you have in the body?
Yeah, so it's called a hair mineral analysis. And there's lots of ways to test. You can do urine and stool and things like that. But you can go on my website on myershdetox.com. There's it's called an HTMA, or hair mineral analysis. And lots of info there on that. If you go to your doctors and you want to get a test covered by insurance, they'll usually do a simple blood test on you for only mercury, cadmium, lead, and arsenic. That's not going to be adequate because, like I said, your body doesn't let this stuff float around in your blood. It stores it away, it sequesters it away. So usually the blood tests are going to be false positive or false negative, unless you have like a recent lead exposure or something like that. So just caution people against hoping to get the test covered by insurance, because it's just not going to be an adequate test to maybe give you a false sense of security.
We promoted that test for you before, and it's not very expensive, right?
No.
Is it like $200 or something, right?
No, it's less. It's like $99.
Right. There you go. I mean, you guys, it's
Yeah.
no brainer, seriously.
Yeah, it's really easy to do.
Maria is asking, where can I purchase a good calcium supplement? We don't carry one in our store. Do you have a brand that you like?
Yeah, so I really like, there's one by Progressive Labs. It's a calcium lactate. I have some in my store on store.myershdetox.com.
Okay.
I also like the Mother Earth Minerals Ionic Calcium, because if you have a lot of calcifications in your body, or hardened arteries, or the loved one that does, the ionic calcium burns up the calcifications in your soft tissues like a house on fire. It's interesting how one form of calcium can help to break down another form. And it's just because of its, it's electric charge. So that's what I take as well.
Cool. There's people asking about calcium deglucarate, and that's, do you want to just maybe explain? It's totally different. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is not a nutritive form of calcium that's going to build up your calcium levels or replace calcium in your bones. That's a great form of a calcium to help with toxic estrogens and kind of help your body metabolize estrogens better. And it's amazing for bringing down that toxic estrogen load, but it's not like a nutritive form of calcium. It's just a little bit different chemical form.
There's a question about solar ray calcium citrate.
The citrate is okay. I would rotate that with other things. If it were me, I would do that, finish it up, but also take calcium lactate
I'm
is what
also
I
not
would
sure if I
personally.
like Celerate as a supplement quality. It's not
Yeah,
it's not a quality brand, just FYI.
it's
Okay,
okay.
let me go over to Instagram. Hey, you guys, yeah, people asking about the link. So I just posted the link again, so you can pick it up from there. So let's just do one more thing. If you were to, let's talk a little bit about maybe water, because this is, I think, a big one.
Yeah.
A lot of people we bathe in that stuff every day. We drink it, right? And and then I remember when I was in private practice, people will have this illusion of drinking clean water because they drink water from their fridge filter, and they think that that's good enough. Do you want to talk a little bit about water exposure and what can we
Yes.
do?
Yeah, I love this topic because for me, when I'm teaching people about their health and detox, you have to get the basics right. And that solves a lot of other problems downstream. So taking minerals, drinking clean water, and there's a lot to water. There's a lot to this very simple thing. And for you guys using a Brita filter, there's actually a class action lawsuit against Brita right now for overstating claims of filtration because it really doesn't get heavy metals. It doesn't get out a lot of the chemicals, and then people have this false sense of security.
Yeah.
So any kind of charcoal-based filter, pitcher, that's just a very simple cartridge, that not going to work. It's just our water has hundreds of chemicals in it, heavy metals. It has hormones. It has medications. It has birth control. It has antidepressants. It has
And just even
so
fluoride.
much
I mean,
stuff.
just like you
Fluoride,
talk
yeah,
about fluoride. I mean, in the United States, we fluoridate our water. And
yeah,
so, fluoride back in the 50s was used to treat hyperthyroidism. So if you wanted to slow down the thyroid, you were given to drink fluoride to slow the thyroid down. And so, and here we are having like every day a little bit of it. I've had people just changing their water filters, or incorporating proper water filters, and regaining their thyroid function just from stopping to drink tap water. So I agree with you. Like the water filter in your fridge or the little Brita filter on your fridge, on your counter, ain't gonna be
yeah.
removing any of those, including fluoride.
Not
Yeah.
cutting it because the one in the fridge is again just a carbon filter, very basic carbon. It's better than nothing, but not doing it. You need like a 5-stage filter that's getting like everything. I don't love filtered water. I use it for cooking and coffee and teas and stuff like that, but for like hydration, I drink spring water, and that's a big pain in the butt. But it's a link that I go to because I like I don't know, there's just a certain energy to it. But I do, there's a lot of things I do with my water. Like I add crystal energy, which is something you get on Amazon. It restructures your water, makes it way more hydrating, because a lot of people that drink water, they don't want to because they just have to go pee pee like at 30 minutes afterwards. And it's so annoying. I hate that feeling. And so if you add this crystal energy, just 1 or 2 drops, it restructures the water. It hydrates your cells. It penetrates your cells. And you don't have to go to the bathroom because it's actually hydrating you. It's actually absorbing. And then I add the salt, which aids absorption as well. I add, for every liter, I add little 2 pinches of the Celtic sea salt. And I don't even, it doesn't taste salty at all. If it tastes salty to you, you are mineral deficient.
Mm.
And so just note to self.
Interesting. So, doesn't the water filter? Because I think I know my friend Laura Edler always gets a little agitated when she gets that question about what water filter should I get, because her whole thing is about understanding where is your water coming from. We have different sources of water around the country. Some people get it from, like, say, for example, Colorado River is gonna be extremely polluted versus, like someone who's getting it from lakes somewhere in upstate New York will be exposed to far less toxins. And so it's a different kind of, like, do you have any thoughts on that distinction?
Not really, because the majority of people live in urban areas. They don't have access to clean water or lake water or whatnot, and even if they have well water, they're sourcing their water from a lake. You can still have contaminants. So lakes do still have pesticides and chemicals and things like that in them. And, like in Texas, my family's well water had manganese in it, even because they didn't test for that. But manganese causes Parkinson's-like symptoms if it builds up enough in your cerebellum.
I'm on well water, and I had radon in my water,
Yeah.
which is a radioactive substance, which is a natural occurring thing in the Rocky Mountains, right? So, it's one thing I just want to mention. I mean, I think reverse osmosis, just not everybody might be into crystals and stuff like that in structured water, and not everybody has access to spring water. So I just want to make it like more fairly inclusive for people.
Yes. Yeah.
I think one thing to push back that I think companies that doing marketing of non-reverse osmosis water will say is that it takes out all the minerals out of the water and all of that stuff. So first of all, you can put them back in by just
you can put it back in and restructure it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is also that actual water, there's really not that many minerals that's present in it in the first place. And so it's not a major source of your nutrients. Food is going to be a source of nutrients. And then if you want to put those minerals back in, get those drops that, like I use Trace Minerals, like the brand from I just get on Amazon. I have it here in Mexico. It makes a huge difference. Even like you talked about it, like if you're drinking water and you're peeing soon after, you're not absorbing that water correctly, right? And so just adding minerals can make a huge difference. I don't need to go to the bathroom for 2-3 hours, even though I'm drinking hips. Like just by talking to you, I'm almost done with this whole jug here, and I don't need to use the bathroom anytime soon. And the minerals are in. It's like every time I just splash it in. But yeah, reverse osmosis is really not gonna be taking nutrients out. If anything, it just cleanses the water correctly. I use reverse osmosis in my house in Colorado, and I feel perfectly fine. I'm not depleted in minerals in any way, and I just add them through the little splash that we talked about from the different brands.
Yeah, for sure. And that's just like for me, like I have a reverse osmosis filter, and there's lots of great companies out there. Reverse osmosis is, you can get that with a lot of companies, but you want to do usually a few stage filter where you do have the charcoal, and then you have the one for fluoride, and then you have the one for this, bacteria and parasites and things like that. And then it gets to the reverse osmosis stage. So like at least like a 3 or 4 stage filter, including reverse osmosis, is fantastic. And then and also you can do distilled water also, that's also devoid of minerals. But no matter what water I drink, I'm going to add the little restructuring drops, and I'm going to add some salt to it. Because it's true what you said, the minerals in water and spring water, they're not a form that our body really absorbs or uses. They're from rocks and what the water was kind of filtering through or how it got to us. It's picking up those minerals along the way, but they're not terribly beneficial, or they're not in high enough levels to really make any difference in our health.
Let's do one more question and then start wrapping up. And for those of you who are joining us a little bit late, we're talking about heavy metals that are present in our environment. And Wendy's latest docuseries, a 7-part docuseries you can watch completely for free. And I've posted the link in comments, and I'll do that one more time. You can log in there and start watching. Is it today or tomorrow, did you say?
It is launching tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. We have the very first episode on obesity and resistant weight loss starting. And so if you click that link, you can sign up. We'll send you an email to start watching it tonight.
So let's talk about the docuseries in just a second. But one more last question I want to do is, because you started that, so might as well answer that question. What brand of crystal energy?
Yes. So it's right here. One second. So you get it on Amazon, and it's by Patrick Flanagan. So it's just called Crystal Energy. So it's made by Patrick Flanagan. And you can see this bottle is kind of old. This lasts a really long time. You only need a couple of drops, and it makes such a huge difference. I was blown away by this. And so I don't really like those restructuring devices. You have to pour the water, the restructuring thing. It's a big pain in the butt. But this just 1 drop or 2 drops, and you're good.
Awesome. So talk a little bit about the docuseries, about like each episode, like what to expect, what are people gonna learn, what are they gonna, what was your own big aha moment about the docuseries when you guys were, like, I mean, you already know a lot of stuff, but sometimes we all have blind spots. Like, what was yours?
Yeah, I think really for me, I was interviewing Jeffrey Smith, who's a food activist for genetically modified organisms and food, and warning against the dangers of glyphosate. It was really crazy, this presentation he put together of the rise in glyphosate use by billions of pounds every year since the 90s, and the direct correlation in increased dementia, kidney disease, autism, obesity, heart disease. It's, I mean, the exact correlation, the lines are exactly the same. And many other health issues as well, dog cancer rates. 1 in 6 dogs get cancer right now because they're rolling around on the grass and they're low on the ground and, getting exposed to the glyphosate that's sprayed on.
Eating crappy food, that kibble
food.
that's made with GMO foods anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's sad. I mean, how many people do we know their animals are dying of cancer, have tumors and things like that.
All the time.
And yeah. And then, hearing Dr. Stephanie Seneff talk about glyphosate, how it grabs onto aluminum and shuttles it directly into your brain. And that's a big cause. And aluminum kills brain cells on contacts. And, is a big contributor to different forms of dementia. Dementia and brain disability is the number one cause of disability around the world. And it's totally preventable, not 100% preventable, but a lot of different forms of dementia are man-made diseases. They're from chemicals and heavy metals.
Yeah.
And you got to get this stuff out of your brain and your body. And it goes a long way for anti-aging. And because these heavy metals are very oxidative. They're almost like rust in your body. They damage your cell membranes, damage your DNA, kill your mitochondria. And over time, you pay the price. I'm 51 right now. I feel better than I felt when I was in my early 30s. And it's this anti-aging component of removing heavy metals and toxins that plays a big role in that. And one of the episodes is the anti-aging paradox, where metals are causing aging, and a lot of the beauty products women are using to look better are actually aging you. It's crazy, and interfering in your hormones. And we talk about all these things in detail, and it's really fascinating.
Give us 3 to finish on a high note. Give us 3 practical things that we can do tomorrow to start thinking about reducing exposure to toxins.
Yeah. So, I mean, for working with as many patients as I've worked with, the ones that eat organic food, they have very low levels of pesticides and chemicals in their body. And and for me, I was just knowing that even organic food can still have some pesticides in them based on the research. That gave me a lot of optimism about how if you change your diet and eat, majority organic, we can't do it perfectly. It's going to really dramatically reduce your chemical load and your pesticide load. And those people are far healthier and than ones that not eating organic. And so also getting your water right, staying hydrated and taking lots of minerals. That's a very easy thing to do. It's something a lot of people are focusing on already. You just have to get it right.
I will tell you, tweaks. I mean, it's I'm, as you guys know, I'm in my camper van, right? And so, I think most people know I'm on the road. I'm in Mexico. And the thing is, it's shocking to me how few people realize that drinking your water from the tap, in Mexico, you can't do that. There's no way. I mean, people know that part because that's like pure poison. But for, in the United States, I'm talking about like traveling around the US, like there's almost no one in the RVs and camper vans that have proper filters. I'm like one of the very few people I actually have like gallon size, containers. And I go to like Whole Foods or Natural Grocers or whatever, some health food store, and then put reverse osmosis water into and I have so separate, my water container for like washing dishes and taking showers is different from my drinking water. And almost no one differentiates between those two. People actually drink. And I'm like, dudes, that's just, easy thing to even in an RV, you can put a small filter, not small, but you can hide the filter and get this done. Anyway, okay. And what's the third one?
Yeah, like I was going to say, add to that, if you really knew what was in the water, you would not be drinking it. Just do some research on that. The hormones and the chemicals and all the other
drugs,
stuff.
like
the drugs.
Yeah.
Antidepressants and the birth control pills and all that stuff. Eesh. Yeah. So that's a big no-no. And so the other thing that people can do, I think super simple. One of my favorite supplements is spirulina. And so that one little tablet of spirulina has as many nutrients as a whole plate of vegetables. And it's got something called SOD in it, which we need to get from our food. That is a super powerful antioxidant that combats chemicals and metals in your body, can escort them out of the body. And it's just kind of food for your mitochondria. It's the one I really like. It's this organic one called Energy Bits. That's what I take every day. I take 30 of those every day, and I take their chlorella brand also. I think when it comes, because I like getting food-based nutrition as much as I can, like food-based supplements. And so the spirulina is really one of the most powerful ones, and it's great for detox too, and minerals and amino acids, glutathione. It's really awesome.
If somebody, like 30% of population can do spirulina, because you feel like you start burping it, and I'm one of them. So is chlorella gonna be a good alternative or no?
Yeah, so it has a lot of the same nutrition in it. It's just a little bit different, but it's still an algae. So it does have a lot of the same properties for sure.
Okay. Somebody's asking about moringa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that doable too?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of like superfoods out there that are fantastic. And so, I think it's all about rotation and, trying different things. And, there's lots of different like green superfoods out there that you can take. But I'm all about variety and rotation and not just sticking to one thing for, years on end.
Love it. Yeah, I'm at the property I'm at right now in Mexico. There is a moringa tree I just discovered, so I started putting the leaves into my smoothies, and it's I wouldn't call it delicious, but it makes me feel good to be able to do that. So
yeah, when I was in Indonesia, they had like a moringa soup. They'd take it and blend it, make it into a soup, and it was really nice. I liked it.
Okay. Yeah. So good to see you. Congratulations on the opening of creating the docuseries. Thank you for the education you're creating and changing our perspective and relationship with toxins in a more empowering way. And so thank you for that. Thank you everyone for logging in today and for your wonderful questions and your constant curiosity. Staying curious is going to be one of the ways that is going to be really important on your healing journey. And I posted the link several times, so just scroll through the comments and you see the where to watch the 7-part docuseries with Wendy that's opening up tonight.
Yes.
Thanks everyone, and wishing you a lovely. To me, the weekend starts right after this call. I'm actually packing up and then moving up to a different part of Mexico. It's going to be a very long drive, but I'm excited about changing the scene a little bit. All right, thanks everyone. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you so much.
See you next week.